happening?
Hello, it says we're live. Let's make that a little bigger so we can see yins. Hey guys, hey, oh my goodness, everyone. Taz is here. Erica's here. Hey guys, and welcome to this very special podcast. Podcast. Oh, I was like, you just got a text message from the two crazy cat ladies.
What?
Because we sent out a text message and said, hey, come
hey,
join
Robin.
us. Hey, guys.
Hey, Tina.
Hello.
Debbie.
Hey, oh my goodness. Love you guys so much. Okay, so today, guys, our podcast is going to be all about ingredients in the pet food and going a little bit deeper into not just reading the ingredients, but understanding what those ingredients are and where they come from.
Hi, Trisha. And I gotta say, this is precipitated by the very, very sad news of hundreds and hundreds of pets dying because of a recall this year. So it's
dying and getting very sick.
Very sick.
Simply from a single ingredient that is in almost every commercial pet food.
Yes.
So let's jump in and get a podcast started. Are you cool with that?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right.
Are you ready? Are you going to do the intro? Do you want me to do the intro? Do you want to do it?
You can do it.
I don't remember.
Welcome to episode number 0062 of Back in the Closet with the Two Crazy Cat Ladies. I can't believe it's number 62.
I know. 62 is a good number.
Doesn't it seem like it just started? I like 52 better than 62 as far as the number is concerned. I don't know.
Two even numbers? You just like the...
I like the number 2.
Right. But you like 5 more than 6?
Yeah. Huh. I guess.
All right. Let's start this with a toast.
52 and 57.
This is going to be an in-depth podcast today.
Yeah.
I think. We're not ever sure.
So we're starting with the toast. This podcast, guys, we're excited to talk about some of the recent pet food recalls that have been going on. And it's not anything new, in like a new ingredient or anything like that. This has been going on for 20 plus years in the pet food industry. And so we want to dive a little bit into why it is.
Uh-oh.
It sounds like the computer is about to explode.
What is that?
I don't know. Should we run?
Can you guys hear that? Oh, jeez.
That's really scary. You guys probably can't hear that. Well, actually, stop. Don't. Please. Hitting the computer is not going to make it better. I promise you that. Shaking the computer won't make it better either. Right. Maybe it'll stop on its own. We're just going to keep rolling.
It doesn't mess the audio
We're going to keep rolling because, Jessica Lynn. Oh, we love you so much. Okay, so that noise, I'm going to have to ignore it. I'm going to have to ignore it.
Just mentally put a block on it.
So we want to talk about ingredients, and then let's just jump right in. So a recent recall has been going on. Dr. Becker wrote about it, an article about it. We printed it out to really hit the main points, because you guys know we forget a lot of the stuff that we have in our heads for half a second.
So most recently, there's been a recall on dog and cat foods. Over 1,000 lot codes.
Speak loud, just in case
over
the microphone
1,000 lot codes for products for levels of aflatoxin contamination that are implicated in over 100 pet deaths and over 200 pet illnesses in the United States alone. And there's another 32 countries that this company sent those lots to.
And this is just one. This is just the one company. So let's talk about what is aflatoxin. Most people don't know what aflatoxin is. I didn't know what aflatoxin was. So
it's caused by a fungus on
usually on things like wheat and corn, which is why one of the reasons why you'll see a lot of the pet food companies or even human food companies will say no corn, wheat, or soy in it, because these kind of things can easily be contaminated, especially when mass produced, right? And the FDA, they're supposed to be, the pet food companies are supposed to be testing this. The FDA is supposed to be holding them accountable for this testing. However, unfortunately, the FDA has recently just been a little bit sidetracked by trying to take down raw pet food companies, not finding all the stuff that they want to find, but really kind of going after the raw pet food industry, because the raw pet food industry isn't part of the PFI, which is pet food industry. Obviously, they're in the pet food industry, but they're not on they're not on the board if you will. They're not on the board.
They're not on the board. But it's worth noting, though, as mentioned in this article, that raw pet food producers are not and have never been the subject of large-scale product recalls, even though the FDA has been so solely focused on them. And we know personally of brands that have been brought down by the FDA.
Yeah. And that's
not because of recall.
A sad thing, but everybody's scared of raw food, right? I mean, you can go back to our podcast. We've talked several times in the past about raw food because we feed our cats a raw food diet. So it's a thing that people are just scared of. They're scared of. They think that salmonella is some like super scary thing that is going to take down. But if you animals and it has, and it can, but they think that the raw food, because it's raw food, it's going to be safer. But fortunately, the majority of raw food companies actually quality source their ingredients, which is why you don't find cats and dogs getting sick from eating raw food because they're quality source. Now, the overwhelming majority, millions upon millions upon millions of animals that have caught salmonella poisoning, they come from kibble, which are highly processed, the biggest, cooked to the nth degree. So we think our mindset is like, oh, well, if we cook it a lot, then our cats won't get sick. But if we don't cook it, then they're going to be more likely to get sick. Actually, quite the opposite in this case, because if it's quality sourced, then they shouldn't get sick either way, actually.
I mean, just the numbers are just mind-boggling. In less than 6 months, 60 million pounds of aflatoxin contaminated foods have been recalled.
Did you say poo?
Foods.
Poo?
That food is poo. It is poo. It's just unbelievable. So it's that noise is so
driving me nuts. Can you guys hear that noise? It's the computer about to explode.
So aflatoxins are known to cause acute toxic illness and cancer in animals and humans, and are considered among the most carcinogenic substances on the planet. So you think about food ingredients. We're always saying, read the ingredients on your pet's food. Read the ingredients. And oh boy.
No, but here's the thing. This is the thing, because we say it all the time, read the ingredients. And then people send us ingredient lists. We just got some this morning. People are sending us ingredient lists and they're like, what do you think about these ingredients in this food? And you read through and it's like, here's the thing. Like because some of the ingredient lists, like when you're reading it, it actually looks okay. But when it comes to being a cat parent, really being like understanding what it is that the risks that you might be taking by feeding your cat a specific food, it's more about like where it's sourced. What is the quality of those ingredients? Going back to salmonella, it's in highly processed foods, but it's because those meats that caused the salmonella or ingredients that cause the salmonella were like the disease dying animals. And when you're putting that into your cat's body, whether it's cooked or not, you're definitely going to be looking at a more scary situation. These aflatoxins should not be in any food anywhere. It can cause cancer. It's causing cancer in pets and in people.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You have words.
Well, I was just going to say that when you think about the feeding raw food, and I know that there's a lot of fear for me when we first started feeding raw. Mm-hmm. You think about the sourcing of ingredients, how important it is to know the source of ingredients, not just knowing the source of the ingredients, but you guys, especially when it comes to this, which I want to get to in a little bit as well. When it comes to knowing what you're feeding, it's really important to know the source of the information. I think that it has been disgusting in the past. We talk about how the FDA has been so solely focused on raw food producers lately.
They're turning a blind eye
because
and all these
PFI has recognized that raw food producers are starting to cut into their profit margins.
It's the fastest growing pet food market.
Right.
The fastest growing is raw food
because there's a lot of pet owners that are recognizing that kibble is not species appropriate. It's not the healthiest thing. There are lots of risks.
Their animals
the main recalls for pet foods are from kibble because their sourcing is so subpar. I think that and here's in this article, it talks about if you do feed a kibble, and Dr. Becker says, which I only recommend if you cannot afford to feed better quality food, which I agree. A fed cat is always better than a starving cat. Be sure to study the ingredient list carefully and avoid brands containing write this down, you guys, and go look at your ingredients, containing grains or corn in any form. That's including corn gluten meal, whole grain corn, corn flour. Corn is a notoriously allergenic food that's difficult for many animals to digest to begin with.
And just so you know, they also call it maize. So if you see it as maize,
sorghum,
same thing.
Pearl, millet, rice, and wheat. Rice can also contain toxic levels of arsenic. You don't see those kinds of risks in raw food at all. So I think that it's been a tragedy that the pet food industry has literally gone to the FDA, which is supposed to be enforcing the safety of their food production for our pets, and it's basically said, these guys are bugging us. These raw food producers are bugging us.
We're not getting any money
who
off
you
of
need
them.
to go after, because that is unsafe, that's dangerous, and they'll start witch hunts against certain companies that are doing very well. So this 60 million pounds of aflatoxin contaminated food that is killing our pets is because the FDA is too busy pleasing their board members.
Right. Well, and I mean, it is good to note that many of these are not actually dying. They are sick. They're very sick from.
True.
And can
Well,
even.
what are the numbers?
And eventually, it's in the title.
110 pets have died, and another 210 pets were sickened
So far.
And those are the ones that are
reporting.
Those are the ones that are reporting.
Because a lot of people don't know this information because they're not putting it out there. It's not, big. It's not big news. And if it's not big news, then a lot of people don't know it. They're just like, why are my cats sick all of a sudden?
And they go to the vet and they're like, I don't know.
Don't have any idea.
Right.
Maybe they could have eaten something bad. We're not quite sure. And if you don't relate it to the food, you're just continuing to feed them these toxins that they can really, really, really hurt their. I mean, like that buzz is driving.
I'm afraid
me
it's going to ruin
nuts.
the entire audio on that because there's no way.
I think it is too.
Sorry, you guys. We keep getting distracted. It's so loud to us. I know you guys.
I think I need a new Mac.
Hear it.
FDA poofed. Yes, Tabitha, correct. Poofed.
It's rough information, but it's such a great reminder to all of us. I mean, in the spirit of being proactive, I really want to talk about not just how important it is to know, whatever food you're feeding, know where they source, call the company, ask them for information, look for their safety protocols.
But here's the sad thing is that when it comes to the pet food companies and the FDA and what they allow on bags of pet food, cans of pet food, they turn again a blind eye to a lot of things that they say, like quality source. Anybody can say quality sourced, and they do. And it's like literally my dad was picking up that dead squirrel from the side of the road and putting it into your pet's food. And
He worked at a rendering plant, just to be clear.
He worked at a rendering plant back in the day. And that's like, it was roadkill that they were putting in there, the meat byproducts, the meat, like
agricultural animals that had died.
Yep.
That were dying.
Anything, it was
Diseased.
their way of salvaging that by giving it to the pet food companies instead of the people food industry, because that could make people sick, right? Don't care about the pets. But it's so hard for us as pet parents because we don't know. Like how do you know? Like for me personally, I want to look at who owns this company, right? If it's Rachel Ray, right? I love Rachel Ray. She's a cool person, but the Rachel Ray's Nutrish, it sounds so healthy because it's called Nutrish. It's owned by Smuckers.
And you've seen those commercials where it's like all these whole food ingredients, and then you realize they're owned by Smuckers, which is looking to put a lot of waste from their human
food
market into. That's why they buy a pet food company,
right?
So
the Purina, owned by Nestle, candy bar company. Mars owns like how many brands? Mars, candy bar company. Hill Science Diet, owned by Colgate. Like literally, when you're if you look, do the research. Yes, call the company. I hope that you can get an honest answer. But if you really look at like who owns the companies, you can tell the bigger brands, the big brands that make a lot of commercials, right? They make a lot of money because they can buy that $60 million commercial on the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Then you know that their ingredients are probably not quality.
Right.
So their sourcing won't be quality.
Well,
either.
and like Trish says here, basically what is not deemed for human consumption is put in our beloved pet's food.
Yes, exactly.
That's so true.
Exactly.
Some of the things that we can do to be proactive, though, and I think that this is, have it bookmarked. I have it bookmarked. Bookmark the site, truthaboutpetfood.com.
Yes.
Susan Thixon is an incredible human being who lost one of her own pets to bone cancer due to contaminated foods. She has been on a mission. She is 100% supported by pet owners.
Yes.
Never a food. She is an advocate for us, and she put her blood, sweat, and tears into...
Continues to.
Right. So even in this article, it's referencing Susan Thixon's information. And she has, if you're wondering about ingredients, if you're wondering about recalls, this is
you're wondering, what are these? What does this mean? You can look it up on truthaboutpetfood.com.
Right. Look up anything there. And I think it's so important to know the source of your information as well as the sourcing of our pet's ingredients, because when you recognize that someone is not being paid by the people that we are paying for our pet's food, when it's coming out of a place of pure motivation like that to help stop the kind of suffering that she went through, help that more of us to not go through that with our beloved pets, it's very important to know that source, because you can go on the internet and you can look up whether it is, and I know we're going to be censored. We're talking about the FDA.
Oh, I'm sure we will. Yeah.
Hills, all this.
Our podcast will probably be shut down after today.
Right. But when you look at that, it's like you can find all these articles about how incredible it is. Look at who's writing those articles, why that research, who paid for that research. When you do kind of a deep dive into it, and we've had people come at us with both barrels about Hills and Purina and
Royal Canin. And they're coming to us with actual science, believing that like this is science, guys. But then when you look at it's sad that it is very sad that we live in a day and age where we can be lied to over and over and over again, and we just continue to. That's where we get our information. You have to dig deep into anything, guys. Anything, but pet food specifically. Dig in and see who's actually. Like if I donate to this company, where does it actually go? And when it comes to your pet food, if this company owns my pet food, my cat's food, that is driving me not like literally.
I know it's getting hot.
Is it?
I think the fan is dying.
Oh, it does sound like the fan.
Yep.
It's going to definitely ruin the podcast.
Yeah.
But
hopefully we can pull the audio from YouTube.
Yeah. But I completely forgot what I was talking about. Oh, it's so sad that we have to dig so deep to find out what we're actually feeding our cats, that we can't just get the truth from a commercial, from a media, from science. Even when you look at some of the science, it has been when you read into it and you see, oh, this science was funded by A, B, and C pet food company. Right. It's like
said, let's do a study on this.
Of course, you're going to come up with the answer that you were looking for.
And we've had veterinarians come at us with like, you're spreading misinformation. It's like, I'm sorry, we're not getting paid to say this. We want you. We don't have anything to do with food. We don't make money off of pet food. The pet foods that we recommend because we feed them. They're the only things. Mm-hmm. But it's important to know as well, Possum said, then when a holistic brand gets big enough, so a brand that's really putting their blood, sweat, and tears into making a quality, well-sourced diet, the bigger brand foods will literally buy them out, which is why we always say, we can only recommend certain foods right now, because that can change. Blue Buffalo was a small family-owned company for a long time that got bought out.
Yeah, we used to in my last business, we used to recommend Blue Buffalo. Yeah. Now that they've gotten too big for their britches, and they've gone down the same road that everybody else has.
Yeah.
So many pet food companies out there. And you just have to know your source.
And this isn't about
the cats.
This isn't about trying to peg people as evil, money-making, pet-killing people. This is literally about we all know as pet parents that it is so scary, sad, horrifying when one of our pets is ill, and recognizing that food is so foundational to their well-being makes this such an important topic for us all the time. Yeah. And it is something that as pet parents, you've got to put a little bit of effort into, whether it is just reading the ingredients, something like this pet food recall, just looking and seeing how much corn is in your pet's food right now, and understanding the aflatoxins, the oh my God.
You have a hair on the end of your nose.
The amount of times that aflatoxins are found in an ingredient like corn, is it worth it to me to feed that food?
Is it worth it? Let me work it. I put my corn down, flip it, and reverse
to
it.
risk that. That's good. That was good. So do some due diligence. I think one of the
how
biggest
species
things,
appropriate is corn in the first place, right? Like what corn, wheat, like this is not something that in the wild our cats will eat. It's not something that they should be eating. We know just as humans how contaminated these are. Even for us, it's like don't eat too much corn. Don't eat too much. Like you don't want that, because it's almost impossible. Now there is organically raised corn and organically raised soy, or grown soy, and this is that isn't the same thing. But when we're looking at mass production of anything, we are looking at very likely contamination possibilities. But there's no reason to oh my God, I just have to say, we did a cat tip last week on prescription diets. And so I was going down the rabbit hole. I was going down the rabbit hole on many of these prescription diets. And I was just looking at what are the first few ingredients? Do you know that corn gluten was a number one ingredient in many of these prescription diets that they're selling for massive amounts of money at the vet clinics, and they're believing that they're
what your pet needs to survive. Be healthy. It's really disturbing when you look at that, which is why I know that
this is why I'm saying you just can't believe everything that you hear. It's like you said in that cat tip, you're like, regardless of who recommends this, literally, guys, regardless of if we recommend it, regardless of if your vet recommends it, regardless of who the commercials that recommend it, regardless of what they say, I'm telling you, we could all be wrong.
Your pet is your research.
Pet. Yes.
It's a scary, heartbreaking thing. One of the most productive things, though, I do think, I'm just going to say it again, is the bookmark Truth About Pet Food. I think that the subject for me, I know that you're a super nerd when it comes to ingredients and sourcing and all of that. But for me, food, well, I mean that in a really good way. But for me, ingredients and all that stuff, it can be overwhelming for me. So if Truth About Pet Food is a great place to start wrapping your head around just understanding stuff more. Pet Fooled, a great video, a documentary to watch, to start wrapping your head around. If you haven't
seen that, guys, you have to watch that. That is the best. We knew about this about 10 years prior to. We knew about the truth in the pet food industry and behind closed doors what they're doing. We knew about it 10 years prior to this film coming out. But when this film came out, they did all the research, right? It wasn't just people in the pet health industry talking about it. It was he did all the research, 5 years, almost 6 years of research, contacted the companies, found out, went to the plants, went to where their ingredients are coming from, and exposed that truth. And that's the same truth that we knew about, but put it into such layman terms, into such great video. You actually get to see what is really going on behind the pet food industry. So watch that. I don't know where it's at now. It was on Netflix. Now it's probably on Prime.
You just Google Pet Fooled and see where to stream or whatever. Yeah. That's fantastic. But those are two things that we can do as pet parents who are not necessarily well versed in understanding what ingredients mean or how to read ingredients. It's a great place to start wrapping our heads around it and feeling more empowered about making choices that are going to be healthier foundationally for our pets' lives.
Yes.
And instead of, because if it were up to me, to this day, some of those Blue Buffalo commercials about make me cry. I'm like, I want to feed them like family too.
Yeah.
But once you know better, you
do better.
Ideally do better.
Yeah.
So two of those things, if you take nothing else from this conversation about aflatoxins and corn ingredients, start with bookmarking The Truth About Pet Food and watching Pet Food.
Truthaboutpetfood.com.
Thank you.
Yes.
I forget the .com.
I know. You always think everything starts with a the. You remember you had a video that you put the 2crazycatladies.com. Like, it's 2crazycatladies.com. That's our website.
See, I'm not the brightest candle in the bunch.
Well, no, I mean, you're pretty.
Thank you.
You're from Tennessee, so did you always say the Walmart?
I'm from Michigan.
The Walmart?
I'm from Michigan. Adding the on stuff, I think.
Was Michigan too?
No, I think it started in Tennessee. I think so.
Yeah, guys. So I mean, it's a sad reality when it comes to us as pet parents.
But it's good to know. That's what you can take any kind of information that is sad, whether it's this recall or realizing that maybe the pet food that you're feeding is not the best. It is really exciting to be proactive.
It's
empowering. To recognize that you can make different choices.
Yeah, it's empowering to know that you can make different. Part. Don't focus on the fact that socks and all of our cats are going to die. That's not true. It's not going to happen. I mean, guys, you can make your own cat's food at home, and then you are the source of the ingredients. But you do that is amazing. You do want it to be fully balanced. Correct. Yeah, you just have to do the research, right? I mean, these pet food companies, the reason they got into the business is because they were able to, do the research and figure out what is meant for a cat to or a dog
minerals, nutrients,
what is needed for them to actually just survive. And then they can put they can nutritionally what's the word I'm looking for? Nutritionally abuse our pets by substituting those ingredients of what they actually need, as far as like an obligate carnivore, for instance. Why would you give an obligate carnivore, which means they need meat to survive, animal protein to survive? Right. Why would you give them so much corn and wheat as a soy as a protein replacement? Really?
Yes. So someone just asked here on YouTube, is there a specific food that was just recalled? I hopped on late. Right. 60 million pounds of Midwestern pet food.
Yeah. The sports mix. Yeah. Right. Sports mix brand is the one, but that's just the recent one. That's just the one that we know of right now. There's probably a million out there. And there's
well, not a million, but think about where they source their corn from.
Right.
That is not the only pet food company that sourced their corn likely from that place.
Exactly.
You think about, and it's aflatoxins are incredibly common in these crops.
Corn, wheat, and soy.
So when you think about that, and then the amount of corn, gluten meal, maize, any corn based ingredient that's in a pet food,
and wheat.
Right.
Wheat is also one of those main ones that carry aflatoxins, right? Because it's a naturally occurring fungus that grows when you're massively producing these things, these ingredients, so that you can sell it to a pet food company or a rendering plant to put it in and call it protein.
Oh, Marissa, I love you so much. I keep calling her Possum because that's her YouTube name.
Oh, I love that. That's
okay, guys, I think we got to jump off before this computer literally
it might just explode. But yeah, we wanted to just leave you guys with a little bit more. We just want to kind of spark the average cat parent to really think about and do more of your own research. Yeah. Like I said, don't even believe us. Don't believe the commercials. Don't believe your vet. Literally, whoever, it's your cat. It's your cat. Your cat's life is in your hands, and so you do the research. I know that we didn't all know this. We didn't always know this. We had no idea. So many things that our cats over the years have suffered from because of the foods that we were feeding them, and had no idea. But once we know better, like you said, we do better.
Right. Well, I want to take it back too, because that statement of "don't trust your vet" is a very big statement.
Yeah, that's not. When it comes to pet food,
let's have better communication with our veterinarians about the nutrition that they recommend, and feel empowered to ask questions. And when we do some of the research on our own, I think it makes a big difference for us to know that we can kind of trust ourselves too. And I think some of the best decisions are made when there is open communication with a veterinarian, even if they say, they really recommend this prescription diet, let's walk through the ingredients with them and ask why.
Yeah.
But that's change really starts by communicating and
well,
not.
and it changes the change when it comes to the pet food industry. Literally, the change is going to come from the consumer. So if more people demand, more cat parents, more dog parents, more pet parents demand that by not purchasing the foods that are of lower quality ingredients, if we demand higher quality ingredients, then they have to acquiesce because that's their money, right? They have to acquiesce. They have to start showing third party. They have testing. They have to start showing sourcing. They have to start showing things like that. If that's what we demand as consumers of pet food, then that's what
we have to get the FDA to start enforcing its own 2016 Food Safety Modernization Act.
I think they actually reversed with this administration.
Did they really?
Mm-hmm, unfortunately.
Well,
I mean, it was through, a different bill that came through. Or no, the last, I don't know. Yeah. Government.
All the more reason to let's do our research and do our best to keep our babies healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
We and the more we know, the more that we can feel empowered to make better decisions.
Exactly. I agree. All right, guys, that's going to do it.
Before this buzz kills us.
Yeah, I'm really, really worried about this buzz right now. So we love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Whatever day you're listening, we hope it's a beautiful one, whether it's snowing or raining or cloudy or sunny. Oh, the buzz just got better. Just got a little better. Of course. As maybe we're ending. Anyway, maybe it's not going to blow up.
Death rattle.
We love you guys so much. Thank you for joining us. If you're on Facebook, we'll see you tonight, Sunday night, for Cat Tip Review. We love you guys.
Take care of your babies and be blessed. Bye, y'all. That is